What's up, family? This is Juan J, the president, founder of Real Talk TJI, coming to you live with a follow up on the video that was posted in reference to the missing teenagers from Washington, D.C. After viewing the press conference, and glad to see that Mayor Bowser and Chief Newsom did a press conference and put some attention along with Fox News broadcasting it as on the 18th. It was a good thing. But I would say this, that there still needs to be more. There's more need to be done. So much more needs to be done. And we just can't stop at one press conference. We need to have a regular update as to the whereabouts of our missing children. And I say our missing children, not those missing children or them missing children. Our missing children. And before I go into my little spiel, let me just say this. Because, again, one of the biggest reasons why people can come into our neighborhoods and snatch our children is because we're disconnected. And I think every black man, every black woman need to do a self-evaluation and realize that we are the biggest reason why our children are being snatched. This disconnect, this individualism, this separatism, this just, I got mine, you need to get yours, this afraid to talk to one another, won't say hi, won't say good morning. This ain't us. We are operating as a foreign entity in our own neighborhoods. You go outside of the black community right now and go to any neighborhood, you see them smiling, you see them socializing, you see them exchanging and talking. But you come into the black neighborhood, this is what you get. Silence. People are afraid to talk to one another for fear that they may get robbed, or they may get assaulted, or they may get cussed out. The adults are afraid of the children, and the children have no respect for the adults. Again, if we're going to solve this problem, number one, we must come together as a community. We must stop all this disconnect, because that's the biggest problem right there. We are just too separated. And you can try to put a Band-Aid on it and act like it's other things that's going on, other contributing factors. But at the end of the day, if you're honest, if you're transparent, you must agree that nationwide, the black community is separated. We're fragmented. And that's why people can come into our neighborhoods right now and snatch our children. Again, as I said before, and I'll say it again, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 50 years ago, 60 years ago, we knew everybody in the neighborhood. We knew everybody in the community. Up the street, you knew the neighbors. Down the street, around the corner, 2 blocks over. Everybody knew everybody. And right now, we move inside neighborhoods. We have not spoken to nor talked to our neighbors who are next door to us. And we wonder why our children are being snatched. So number one, the first thing we can start doing is being hospitable, being cordial, being nice, being considerate. Say something to somebody. Break the ice. Break the silence. That's number one. Start introducing your children, your family to the neighborhood. So that's number one. Again, we need to we need to come together, family. This is a, this is a clarion call from the Creator to us that we've been scattered too long. That this individualism is not working for us, has not worked for us, and we need to go back to group economics, group fellowship, taking the village to raise a community. This is what we need. With that said, let me offer maybe 2 or 3 things that we need to do, that I would advise every parent to do with their child to try to avoid the kidnapping of their child. Number 1, know where your child is going at all times. I repeat, number 1, know where your child is going at all times. Everybody knows where everybody goes. Repeat after me. Everybody knows where everybody goes. That's number 1. Number 2, have a contact number to where that child is going. Have a contact number to where that child is going or who that child is with. Number 3, make sure your children are in groups or 2 or 3. Minimum 2. No more by yourself. No more allowing our children to walk the streets by themselves. 2 or 3. And know the 2 or 3 people that the child is with. Okay? The time for just casual going outside to play is over. The majority of the teens that were snatched in D.C., they were snatched in the morning between 8 and 9 a.m. Let me repeat that. The majority of the teens that were snatched, that are missing, they were missing between 8 and 9 a.m., not p.m., a.m. So they're snatching our children in the morning, en route to school. They're never making it to school. Know where your child is going at all times. Have a contact number. Okay? And monitor your child on social media. There's a lot of people out here that's portraying to be something that they're not. Even with picture profiles. Some of those pictures are not those people. Just because you're talking to a picture, that does not mean that that's that person. I know it hands down. I've caught a few people that I know that they are not who they claim to be. So, with your children, there's nothing sacred. No. Because trust me, you do not want to have to make the phone call that I cannot locate my child. I don't know where my child is at. And you have to call the police. Okay? You don't want to make that phone call. But if you have to make the phone call, you make sure you have as much information as you can, down to what your child was wearing, to the socks, to the bag that they was wearing, the shoulder bag, whatever, to the glasses. You want to give them as much information. Yes, you probably need to dress your child and make sure when they leave the house, you know what they are wearing. It's just that important, family. And to the men, to the black men who have been comfortable in allowing the women to be the lead in this, I'm calling out every black brother in the nation, because you should be number one concerned as the protector and provider of our community. Rise up, raise up, and handle your black business, my brother. Every black man should be concerned about missing children. Every one of us. And if you're not concerned, that says something about you as an individual and as a person. Okay? Also be wary of that Uber and Lyft too. There was a brother who just snatched a young lady, one of ours, through Lyft. I will say about Lyft and Uber, they are only hitchhiking mechanisms. That's all it is. Paid hitchhiking mechanisms. See, these days, you put your thumb up in D.C., Maryland, Virginia, they're going to ride right on past you. In the country, you put your thumb up, you may get a ride. That's all Lyft and Uber is. And even when you contact Lyft and Uber, you still need to let somebody know who's picking you up. Okay? Who's driving you around? Where you're going? Because these are strangers. They're not fingerprinted like cab drivers. These are independent drivers, not contractors. Independent drivers. Uber and Lyft was very specific when they produced Uber and Lyft. They're not on a payroll. They get like a little stipend for using their vehicles to pick up potential hitchhikers. Because that's all we are. In the bigger scheme of things, you're just hitchhiking. That's it. That's it. Again, we must continue to keep the pressure on the mayor and the chief's office about our missing children. Because if one child missing, that's one too many. And just because the mayor said there was no spike in the numbers of missing children, it's not about the spike in the number of missing children. It's about one missing child gone and nobody saying nothing. We've already had multiple white missing children, and they've had Amber Alerts. I was in Pennsylvania this week, Allentown, and I was on 476, and all I kept seeing was the Amber Alert for a Honda Accord and a missing person. And I said, what? And that was a 57-mile stretch. And all I kept seeing for every little billboard, the little Amber Alert, they kept broadcasting a Honda Accord, a missing child. And that was in Pennsylvania this Saturday. That's for one child. We've had about 10 missing in 2 weeks. Again, where is the national outcry from the media? Where's the local outcry from the local media? And where is the outcry from the brothers? Where is the concern? Are we that preoccupied with our own business that we're not concerned about our teenagers, our youth? Where is the concern from the church? Are we so concerned about souls being saved that we're not even concerned about children being lost or snatched? Maybe it's a taboo. In certain churches, they don't talk about that. So if you can't talk about it in your church, contact me, juanjohn29@gmail.com. Okay? Yeah, contact me. I'll come speak at your church. I'll come speak at your community center. I'll come speak anywhere. Because at the end of the day, the children that are missing need a voice. They want to come home. They want to come home. No child that's been snatched don't want to be home. Trust me, they don't. Also, let me say something. Again, we must keep up the national attention on this situation because it's not going nowhere. It's not. And we just discussing the D.C. We ain't even talking about nationwide. Nationwide. We need to really develop and have a spirit of compassion for our youth, our children. You wonder why there's that disconnect. They don't trust us. Can I be honest?